Today, we're going to talk about how to make sure that your information is accessible before you send it to students. On Friday, we were able to have Dr. Jen Peterson come and talk to us about how to make PDFs and tables accessible. And the general consensus when she was done with her presentation was that if you can avoid it, don't use PDFs and don't use tables. That's not always the case. It's not always something you're able to do. But as much as possible, avoid using PDFs and keep the tables very, very simple. So that was basically what she communicated to us when it comes to PDFs and tables, because those are so complicated to make them accessible. And tables, even when you've done everything you can to make them accessible, the information is still really difficult for people to access. So her biggest recommendation with PDFs is to first make a document that is accessible and then turn it into a PDF if you absolutely have to have the PDF. Because it's so hard to make a PDF accessible. It's very complicated, especially if you don't have Acrobat Pro. If you don't have Pro, it's basically impossible. So let's talk about how we can make our documents accessible. I want to start with Google Docs. I love Google Docs. I use them all the time. I've used Google Docs for years. The access to Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, combined with Google Drive for storage, and the capability to collaborate, the ease with which you can collaborate, makes Google Docs a winner for me. So I was very excited when she told me that there's an easy way to make those accessible. So I've got this page pulled up here. This is the Google Workspace Marketplace. And you can see here, this one, the first one right here, accessible output direct from Google Docs. This is Grackle Docs. There's also Grackle Slides, Grackle Sheets. You can tell this one is installed already on my computer. It says installed. So I installed it the other day to kind of play around with it and see how it works. And it is amazing. So let me pull up a Google Doc that I've been working on. This is a course syllabus template that I've been working on that is supposed to be accessible so that instructors will be able to use this to just put their input in, all of their information in, and their syllabus will automatically be accessible. And that's kind of what we're working towards. So this is going to be an accessible template. That being said, it's really important that this is 100% accessible if I'm then going to ask faculty to put their information in there and use this. So let's see what kind of problems we have. I purposely put some problems into this one so that we could practice taking them out. So the way that we access Grackle Docs, so once you've downloaded it, you've installed it on your computer, you open up a doc like this one, and you go up here to add-ons. Grackle Docs is an add-on. So I go to add-ons, and you can see there Grackle Docs. I'm going to launch it. Okay, and it opens up over here on this side, and you can see right there, it is checking 22 points that it checks. And these are, there's so many things that go into making something accessible. It's a very complex undertaking, but this is kind of the most common things that you might run across in accessibility. So if you notice over here on the side, you can see these have some errors. So I go to one that's got an X on it, and I know, okay, that one's got an error. It failed the test. So if I click on it, document title is required. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this and use the Google Doc name as its title. And now it's fixed. No problem. Okay, and the next thing I have is images. Okay, so I have an image that does not have any alt text. Now, if I'm not sure what it's referring to, I can click on this and it will locate it for me. And there it is right there. Now I want to fix it. So it opens up this nice little box when I click on tag. And I can put in my alternate text, or I can mark it as an artifact. So I'm just going to put in a quick description here. The logo for University of Alaska Southeast. I'm going to update it. And now I should have alt text. Let's see, why is that not? Let's recheck. And there it is. Now it's fixed. So it just needed to recheck. So you may have to refresh it. It may not automatically show it as fixed. Okay, I've got some problems under headings. Headings must be properly nested. Okay, so I have a couple of different problems here. This one right here. Now this one is a heading 2. What's the problem with that? Well, the problem is I don't have a heading 1. So I'm going to take this right here, which right now is normal text, and I'm going to move it to heading 1. And there we go. Now I have a heading 1, heading 2. These are all heading 2s. Okay, awesome. But I have another problem down here. This one is a heading 3, and this one's a heading 1. You can see where I skipped something. I can't go from 1 to 3. And so I actually need to change this one to heading 2, and now it should be fixed. Let me recheck. There we go. And now it's fixed. It's going to check to make sure that you're not skipping any headings. Headings should go, from 1 to 2 to 3, from 3 to 2 to 1, in an order that makes logical sense, because that's how a screen reader is going to read it. It's going to put the heading 1s in kind of a category, heading 2s are in a different category. And so it's very important that there be a logical progression between your headings. Okay, tables. All right, so I've got 2 tables here. My problem with these tables is that I haven't marked a header row. Okay, and so I need to mark them with a header row. I can locate my tables. There's our first table right there. To fix it, I need to tag it. I need to mark the first row as header. And let's see if that worked. There it is. Okay, so you can see those arrows right there, the arrows pointing down. That means that those are the header rows. The arrows pointing up means that they communicate with those columns, they go under that column heading. All right, so that one should be good. If I click on this one, notice that it is associated with the heading, the column headers. Okay, next one. Take a look at this one, same problem. Need to tag this table and make sure that I mark first row as header. Okay. Need to update that. And then let's recheck and see if that is fixed. There we go. It also says the use of empty cells is not recommended. Notice it's got a little exclamation point there. That's a warning. So it's telling me you have something that you may want to go back and look at. Of course, I know that those are meant to be left empty so that they can be filled in by the professor. So I'm going to leave them empty. But it's letting me know, oh, just in case you weren't aware, you've got some empty cells. All right, if I go down to contents, okay, I've got a high color contrast that needs to be fixed. Let me locate that. And here it is. You can see that can't even be read. So I need to fix that by making that highlight color different, getting rid of it. There we go. Now it should be correct. It doesn't catch a very subtle difference between color contrast. It's got to be a pretty big issue to catch it with Grackle Docs. I have noticed that. So be aware of that. But it does catch things that are not readable. Okay, so notice that you've got all these check marks now. 22 of 22 checks passed. Now my document looks good. All right. Now let's say that I wanted to do the same thing to Microsoft. if I have a Microsoft document, got the same document here. If I want to check the accessibility of a Microsoft document, then I go to Review, and then I go to Check Accessibility. And over here on the side, it pops up these errors and warnings, things that I might need to take a look at. So again, that hard to read color content or color contrast. It's the same issue there that I fixed before. So I'd have to fix the color. There, now it's something I can read. So that should be fine. And notice it disappears. Same thing with the headings, where I've got a heading that doesn't match up. I've gone from 1 to 3, and that's a problem. So I need to change that. Now it's fixed. Same thing with the header rows, the tables. So I need to fix these tables. Okay, and it even gives me information down here about steps to fix it if I'm not sure how to go about fixing it. It's not quite as easy as Grackle Docs. Grackle Docs, you could fix it right there in that window by clicking on tag. With this one, I actually need to know how to do these things. So if I go down here and it says to set a header row, select the table, then select the design tab in the table tools, check header row. So if I go up here to my design and I check header row, now it's fixed. Same thing with this one. I select this table, I check header row, and it's fixed. And then I've got my image that's missing alternative text. I can edit alt text when I right click on the picture and put in my description. Okay. And now it's done. There are no accessibility issues. Okay, so that's how we make sure that we have accessible documents. If you have any questions, let me know.